approaching customers, I mean clients, when it comes to expired list or something like that. So
You're scared to approach expired leads.
yeah,
Like,
listings, yeah.
okay, so an initial contact. So this is somebody you've never spoken to. They happen to be an expired listing lead, and you're kind of apprehension about that first initial contact with them.
Yes, I think, because I think it's hard. They probably will work with another age.
Hmm.
So it's just how do you stand out, you know what I mean, in a conversation with one of those clients.
All right,
Potential.
we can do that for you. Now, okay, first of all, I want to remind everybody that, Sonia was saying, I think this, I think that. Our thoughts are not valid tests for reality. So before we pick up that phone and talk to somebody, we can think that there's a mean person on the other end of the line, that they're probably going to use the same agent, that they probably listed again. But we spend so much time thinking about this stuff that it cripples us from actually dialing the number and then talking to the person. And sometimes you're surprised. But Walter, do you want to take this an expired call?
Sure.
While you're driving? Okay, great. So we got Walter's going to be the agent, and he's a pro at this. He's built a nice business doing expireds. Sonia, would you like to be the expired seller that you think you might encounter, or somebody else? Sonia? I think Sonia might be frozen.
Yeah.
Are you good, Sonia?
Yeah, I heard you. I maybe somebody else. What about
Okay,
Kelly?
no problem. So does anybody else want to be an expired seller with Walter? All right, I guess that'll be me. And I'm always a substitute teacher if nobody else wants to step up to the plate. So, all right, Walter, is this a new expired or an old expired you're going to be calling, and any information I should know?
No, just a recent expired.
Okay, cool. Great.
Okay, yeah, just let's go with a recent expired. Ring, ring.
All right. Hello.
Ring, ring. Good morning. Is this Chris?
Yeah, this is Chris. How can I help you?
Chris, good morning. My name is Walter. I'm a real estate agent. I was calling because I saw that your home just came off the market recently, and I was wondering, are you still planning to sell that house?
Oh, wow. I'm surprised. Yeah, this is the second call I got today. I imagined that more are going to come in. I didn't even know that it came off the market. We're looking to sell the house. I thought our agent was going to be bringing buyers over actually this week.
Right. Yeah. No, I saw that you had an agreement with Jimmy, the realtor, from March, but it actually ended a couple of days ago. You weren't made aware?
I thought it was ending soon, but I didn't know that yesterday was the day. So how's that work? Are we just going to keep going with Jimmy? I guess. Can you work with Jimmy directly?
Well, yeah, we can absolutely work with him. However, you do know that your agreement ended. So at this point, you're not loyal. You don't have to work with him anymore if you don't choose to. Are you happy with him? Were you happy at all? Did anything go wrong? I'm just curious what happened when you had the property up for sale, because it was up for sale for about 6 months with Jimmy.
Yeah, we like Jimmy a lot. He did all professional photos. He did open houses. He brought some people. We even had some offers, and that just kind of it kind of phased out. We just weren't able to get it done, and then the activity slowed down a lot. Jimmy told us the market was changing, and so we're supposed to be discussing a new strategy. And he said he's got buyers he wants to bring over this week. So,
got it. I understand. It sounds like you and Jimmy had a good relationship, correct?
Yeah, nice guy.
Okay, but it sounds to me like you're pretty serious about getting the house.
We definitely want to sell. I just don't know what the right way to go is. I can't say that he did anything wrong. What do you think about our price?
You know what? I'm looking at the price right now. I would really need to come by and take a look at the house. It sounds to me that you're at least open to talking to someone else before you recommit with Jimmy, right? Because honestly, Chris, you don't owe me anything, and you don't owe Jimmy anything. You owe yourself the very best. So, I think it would make sense to just at least talk to one more person before you recommit to Jimmy. What do you think? Oh,
well, Jimmy's, he's bringing some people over this week. I don't want to ruin that chance. So, do you have any buyers you think you might just want to bring over? You can kind of show the house and take a look at it at the same time.
Absolutely. I mean, I would never want to get in the way of a sale. And if Jimmy has a serious buyer, you should go ahead and sell it to that serious buyer. But it does sound to me like you at least be open to listening to different opinions or different options. As far as the price on the house goes, I could definitely come by this afternoon and give you my honest opinion of where the price should be for the property.
Okay, well, you know what I'll do, Walter. I just, I hear what you're saying. I had no idea about this. I'm gonna get with my wife. We're gonna take a look at the paperwork, the listing contract, and just confirm that we're kind of not under any obligation. I mean, we haven't looked at that in 6 months. So let me take a look at that, and then we'll give you a call back.
Sure. Now I'm looking at it right here. Your agreement ended within 2 days ago. You said you're getting other calls from real estate agents, right?
I got one other call. Yeah.
So so this is pretty much information open to other real estate agents. So the fact that I'm calling you and the fact that other real estate agents are calling you, the agreement did end. I'm not asking you to hire me, Chris. I'm just asking for 10, 15 minutes of your time with you and your wife. We could sit down, we could review the price, which is what you wanted, right? You wanted to make sure the property is priced correctly.
Yeah. Well, it's see if what you thought of the price, and just kind of get a second opinion, but also try not to ruffle any feathers. And we also want to make sure that we're not under any contractual obligation. So I just want to see with my own eyes. We're going to look at that agreement that we signed. I'll go over it with my wife, and then we'll give you a call to schedule that appointment for you to come by. Yeah,
no problem. Is it okay if I pencil you in for maybe around 6:30 this afternoon, and then you could speak to your wife and you tell me if that's okay? Now we can always reschedule. Is that okay?
I think that'll work. Yeah, sure. 6:30, and I'll be able to get with her about that today. And if it's no good, you just I'll give you a call and let you know that it's no good. We're gonna stay with Jimmy. Is that cool?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, it sounds to me that you're pretty committed to working with this guy, right? Do you mind if is it just loyalty, is it friendship, or is it something more than that?
Well, look, I just I really I got to talk to my wife about it. But I mean, I don't know that he did anything wrong. I think it makes sense of what you're saying, to get a second opinion about price and kind of what could be done. And I just want to make sure that we're not under any contractual obligation. So I guess we'll take a look at that, and everything is good. We'll see you at 6:30. So
if you believe that more could have been done to get the property sold, would you at least want to know about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, very good. So I'll see you at 6:30 tonight.
All right. Thanks, Walter.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Was I easy?
Oh, too easy.
I was too easy. I tried to throw a lot of objections out there. It's hard for me because when somebody talks to me and they make sense, I can't be one of these difficult guys. So how did you feel, Walter, on with that?
Just it was a little bit awkward. The landing was a little rough. I think I could have done a better job to help you focus on the results that you wanted. If I could go back and do it again, the results are you want to sell your house, and the fact is Jimmy didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to. You have to say that in a nice way, but I should have asked: Are you more loyal to selling the house or to sticking with Jimmy?
Yeah.
But you got to say it in a nice way, because if you say it in a jerk way, then you sound like then they're not going to want to work with you. So I didn't know how to articulate that, but that's what I really wanted to say. Hey, what's more important to you, working with Jimmy or getting the house?
Yeah. So I'm glad Walter pointed this out, and it's when we talk about when we want to tell somebody something, get them thinking in a different direction, we ask questions, right? And when we talk about neurolinguistic programming and pacing and leading, there were certain paces here, things that, so you were listed with Jimmy, you like Jimmy, right? So you think you might list with Jimmy again. Now, if there's a way for you to, right? And then we ask questions to get them thinking in a different direction. So if the choices were, hiring Jimmy or getting your house sold, which one's more important to you, right? So, right. And then kind of, it's that pleasure or pain thing. It's like, well, the pain of not hiring Jimmy again is not as great as the pain of not selling our house, right? So maybe asking questions around what the motivation, what was going to happen when selling the house. But again, that's it. Asking questions that get them to self-discover. That's the whole point. And that's why I say these are conversation patterns. There's no scripts for these things. It's just, you want to ask questions to get them to self-discover what the right thing to do is. And I thought Walter did that. Like even like you were just kind of saying, hey, would it make sense to get a second opinion? Right. And yeah, that makes sense. And when you're talking to intelligent people, you could talk to them about intelligent concepts like that. When people are really hard-headed and stuck on something, you have to give them black or white, vanilla or chocolate options. Right. And one of them's got to significantly outweigh the other in pain. Right. So just remember that. Right. So I'm going to throw two options out there. One's going to be so painful, it's going to make you run from it. So that way they're going to self-discover. Right. If it's real important for them to sell their house, then they need to sell their house. So what's more important to you, hiring Jimmy, going with Jimmy again, or getting your house sold? That's what we call a single bind, right? So awesome. Any other feedback around that? I know Kelly calls a lot of expired. She's getting ready to head out there on an appointment. If you have any feedback or questions, or Eric or Sonia, hopefully Sonia, that was a good model of what you can do to.
Yeah. Yes, Chris, it was. I just think you were very, easy seller. You didn't give him, a tough time. So
Yep.
the conversation was very,
You think I was well, so why was I, what made me easy? I threw objections out there. I just didn't hang up on them quickly. So, and you're saying you think I was an easy seller. If you do these I called for sale by owners, which is the most difficult. Do you think by doing that every single day, do you think at least once or twice a year, I had a seller that picked up the phone and said, hey, yeah, come on over. I'm looking to hire an agent. Come list me. That happens once in a while, right? So, right, Walter, you get those people. You get people that are even easier than that. Oh, my listing expired. I had no idea. Yeah, sure. Come on over. But how many of expireds are you talking to, would you say, in a day?
Are you asking me or
anybody? Walter, how many are you talking to in a day?
It's harder now to get them on the phone, but I would say if you spend an hour calling, you get at least 4 or 5 conversations, and it's an accumulative effect. You can't go by, what happens one day, and Chris is absolutely right. If you make enough calls, you're going to get the easy ones. They're just there that people are like, okay, come over, I'm ready to sell my house. Yeah. So you're going to get the tough ones, you're going to get the jerks, and then you're going to get a lot of maybe later. And then those maybe later, you have to develop a relationship with them to close them down the road when they're ready.
Absolutely. I'm excited when I get a tough person, because even like we were talking about it in our group coaching the other day, that even when somebody picks up the phone and they're aggravated or they're tough, I'm just happy to know that that's the right phone number. And I'm going to call them next week, and I'm going to take a note in my CRM, and I'm going to say, they said to me that they feel sorry that I'm in the real estate business, right? And so when I call them next week, I'm going to remind them that, hey, I got you at a bad time last week. You remember you told me you felt bad that I was in the real estate business. So has anything changed this week, right? And just kind of disarm them that way. So sometimes it's in the follow-up, but I'm excited when I get somebody, if it's just the right information, because there's so much bad data out there with regards to expired listings, disconnected phones, wrong phone numbers, sold already. And so that's why I called for sale by owners, because in an hour, you can get twice as many for sale by owners on the phone, because it's right information. Expired's a lot of time easier conversation, you get less people on the phone. But Sonia, what the expireds that you're calling, what kind of opposition are you going up against? And are you calling new expireds, or are you calling older expireds?
Actually, Chris, I'm not calling anybody yet. I just want to know, how to respond questions and the interaction between the.
You have to do it. You have to do it. We can tell you how to swing the bat and throw the ball, but until you get out on the field and you actually do the work, you're not going to know. So right now we're just talking about how to swing the bat. But if you have a 300 batting average, is that a good average or a bad average? 300 means you're a great baseball player, and that means you only hit the ball a third of the time, right? So we have to go out there and screw up a lot. So, but we're inside our own heads, and I know you're inside your head because you keep saying, I think this and I think that. Your thoughts are not a valid test for reality, right? I think, and I'm an ultimate optimist, so my girlfriend always tells me, she's like, Chris, the world is not the way that you see it. And I'm like, I'm okay in my bubble because I think everybody's nice and wonderful, right? And I'm okay with that. So your perception is your reality. So if you're perceiving them to be difficult, and you're saying you think I was nice, but you've not made the calls, so you have no frame of reference other than what you've heard, right? I had last week, a couple of weeks ago, Shannon, who never called a for sale by owner, she made one phone call. They picked up and gave her an appointment. The first time she ever did it. What was her mindset then around for sale by owners? And then she couldn't believe it that after that, all the people that hung up on her, right? But she had a great experience up front. So that's what I'm saying. Just go out there and get your bumps and bruises. Let's do another role play. Do you guys have another scenario you want to workshop? I think an old expireds are good opportunities if you don't want so much competition up front. But Kelly, go ahead. We got you. You're dressed and ready to go.
Yeah, I just had a question for Walter and how he handled that. So I usually, when I get that yes, I just try and get off the phone. I think part of it's fear. So Walter, I just want to know like what your strategy is in continuing the conversation past that.
Past what?
Kind of like you had the appointment and then it keeps going. Is there a particular thought or strategy? Like, because I'm literally like, oh yes, okay, good, see you later, bye.
No.
He wants to make sure that I'm serious about selling.
You have to qualify the appointment. So even if I hang up, I always call them to ask them a lot of questions about the property, and I try to get their motivation, and I try to find out if I'm going up against anyone. Because this is all you can do this all over the phone. So that way, because I used to spend a lot of time going to appointments and they were not qualified. Or if they're overpriced, I always try to get a price before I go in there, because price is usually something where the most sellers in our market want maybe 50 up to 100,000 more than the house is actually worth. So I need to get all this information. Once I have the appointment, then I can go back and say, hey, listen, I was doing a little bit of research on your property. I just want to make sure it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square feet. I try to get as much information as possible, because there's a word called investment. If there's no investment, then they can leave you in 2 seconds. But if they have invested talking to you for 20 minutes, telling you everything about the property, telling you why they're selling, and if they're more invested at the appointment, then there's a greater chance of doing business. That's why I'm scared when I get an appointment and I book it for the same day. I'm really nervous because there's very little investment on their behalf. They can let anybody in. So I'd rather have them invest more into the relationship.
And I want to point out some distinctions here. Kelly, right? So you're new, right? So Kelly's 8 months in the business, and how many appointments have you gone on? You're 20 plus transactions this year, first year. So Walter is seasoned, right? Yeah, she's doing great. So Walter's a seasoned expired caller. And like I always tell everybody, in the beginning, when I didn't have a lot to do, somebody said, yeah, come over. I'm not listing, but yeah, you can come over and see it. I was out of the office. I was going on that appointment. As you try to be more efficient, when you get more seasoned in your practice, you're like, you know what? I don't have time to go on every single preview or viewing appointment. I'm going to I call it over qualifying, right? And Mike Ferry would always tell you to do this up front. For me, it's too many questions, right? Are all the decision makers going to be there? Are you reasonable with the price? All that kind of stuff. And that's what Walter's doing. Walter wants to make sure, but then what's happening with Walter? He's going on less appointments, but he has a higher conversion ratio. And that's ultimately efficiency, what you're looking at. Walter, you guys are on target to do how many transactions this year?
I think we're close to 50.
Yeah, so 50. So now when you're doing 50 transaction sides, and you think about it, and you have a listing heavy business, when you think about how much time you spend preparing and going on listing appointments, you got to say, hey, is there a way to be more efficient with this? And one of those ways is to, go a little bit deeper, ask more qualifying questions. So and also behavioral differences, right? Kelly is a DI behavior profile. Walter's an SI, right?
SC.
You're SC. Walter's an SC behavior profile, right? So Walter is going to be the longer relationships, the numbers, the warm and fuzzy, the stretch it out longer. Kelly's like, I got the yes, I'm on to the next, right? So boom, boom, before you have time to think about this so that's also behavioral differences, right? So Walter's got that SC. That's right.
Yeah, I piss off D's when I start asking too many questions. They're like, why don't you just come over to the house and see it? And I'm like, and for me, I'm like, I take my job very seriously, Mr. Seller. So if you want me to price it right, I need to get all the information. And I ask a lot of questions. But I feel like the more they're invested, if they stay on the phone with you 20 minutes and explain everything, chances of them canceling or not showing up greatly diminish, because they know who I am before I get to the house.
Yep. Exactly. And I always, so, and then when I was qualifying too, like I would schedule the appointment, I would get to the yes quick on the phone and hang up as quick as possible, but I would follow it up with a rather lengthy email, right? So here's some things to know before I get to the house. Here's some examples of my marketing. Click here. Here's my listing on Remax.com, on Century21.com, on KellerWilliams.com. Here's what my virtual tours look like. Here's what some clients are saying about me, almost like a pre-listing email, right? And then, of course, if you need to cancel, please let me know. And then right before the appointment, I might shoot them a text. Hey, did you get that email? Are we still good for 6:30? Boom, and then I go, right. So that's that's how I did it. That's how I ended up doing it. And sometimes when people get that lengthy, when they get that follow up, you go more in depth. They're at a yes. If they keep the appointment, they're at a yes, right? So you're more likely to get the appointment when you're there. If that's a different appointment than when a FSBO just says, "Hey, come over to take a look at the house and see if you want to bring a buyer," right? Because when in that situation, I was never a one-stop lister. But when you make that appointment and you qualify, you dig deep, you have longer conversations, you're more likely to get that yes when you're in the door, right? So, but that's a great observation, Kelly. What's the point, right? And it's to be more efficient, to go on less appointments, more yes appointments, right? Any other questions, guys?
I kind of asked that specifically because not my last, but that one that was like a real easy rollover gave me a yes. I made the appointment, and the lady with the $1.2 million listing, and she called me in the gate and then wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to.
Yeah, in a gated community, it was an easy yes, and then she didn't show up. They let you in the gate, but then they weren't at the house. It's interesting.
And then she listed, and the listing looks so bad. It makes me so mad. Like if she was there, that was mine.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things. And you're thinking maybe had you had a follow-up call to discuss, have deeper conversations on the house, maybe you could have rescheduled the appointment, or maybe even had a conversation that would have led to it not being the right person for you to work with or something, right? So that's good. That's a great, you had a real life experience for that. Any other questions or comments? And then we'll let you guys go to make the live calls. Sonia, I hope you have enough. I want you to make live calls, man. Come next Wednesday and say, hey, I actually talked to some people and they hung up on me and they screamed at me and they did all this. So that way we can role play live things. Yeah. And we can help you with that because they're out there. The ones that say yes, come over are out there. And the ones that curse you out are out there too. Right. And we're not meant to work with everybody, but you're just trying to find the people that you're meant to work with. You have to be super clear on who's the ideal client for you. What do they look like? What do they sound like? What do they talk like? That's why I don't run offices anymore. That's why I just have a small group of coaching clients, because I get to handpick all the best of the people that I love on a daily basis, right? And all the rest of the time, I'm drinking margaritas at the beach. That's how it works. So you too can have a business like that, right? So loving your clients, loving your sellers, just go find them. They're out there. Any questions, comments? Thanks for joining us today, everybody. Thank you, Walter and Kelly, for your participation. Thank you, Sonia, for raising those potential objections. And we'll see everybody next week or before then. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, a text. You can grab me on social media. I'm perpetually available. I will be on a boat most of the day, and see everybody soon.
Bye.
Bye, guys.